Welcome to Gate City Insider. I'm Rosemary Plyben. It is no secret that Greensboro is booming. Toyota, boom Supersonic, HondaJet, JetZero, others just growing and growing, making Greensboro their home, bringing new jobs, and with those new jobs, the need for more housing. So in 2025, the city unveiled a plan to address that need. It's called the Road to 10,000, 10,000 new homes by 2030. Joining us today, Ted Oliver and Cheryl McQuarrie, part of the task force that is leading this initiative. Hello and welcome.
Thank you.
So glad to hear about, just happy with us. So first, how did you two hear about this initiative?
I got an email from the city manager saying this is what he wanted to start and would I be interested in serving. And we had just built a new house and I thought I might have some experience that I could contribute. So.
Well, my experience was I had been a part of the Interfaith Affordable Housing Initiative and also was on the Board of Adjustment for the City of Greensboro and had been involved in two other highly successful programs, the Greensboro Aquatic Center and the Tanger Center for the Performing Arts. So I volunteered to be a part of this with City Manager Trey Davis, and he accepted and offered me the place on the task force.
Yeah, and so you both have, of course, experience that you're bringing from a background to bring from it. What was it about this initiative, though, that you felt like, yeah, this is something I need to be a part of. This is something we need to make happen?
Well, first of all, it's Greensboro, it's home, okay? And like you said in your intro, there are so many companies coming in for economic development that Greensboro has always been welcoming, and if this is a need, then we need to find a way to help address it so more people will come and be part of the Greensboro community.
Yeah, what I found, a couple of years ago, I was getting ready to retire from my full-time job, and I was looking for places to volunteer. I already was volunteering in some, but I saw former Mayor Vaughn, and also at one of our Rotary meetings. And I asked her, "What's the biggest need in Greensboro now?" And she said, "Housing." And then I saw Brian Hahn, who leads urban ministry, and I asked him the same question, and he said, "Housing." So I said, "Well, it looks like housing is where the most help is needed, so that's why I volunteered."
Yeah, okay, so let's talk about, you've been at this not quite a year really with this task force, and I know you initially started really with trying to get a mission and a vision, and that was a lot of work. You want to tell us about that?
Yeah.
Go ahead, you can start that one.
Yeah, we did spend a lot of time on it. You know, the planning department, the city already has planning staff that have been doing this, and they have a couple of documents, the 2040 plan. They have a housing initiative. They have, you know, things that they've already thought this through pretty well. And we discovered that there's a lot of work that's gone into this already. But what I think this really did was, and Trey Davis recognized this, is it put a focus on the need for the housing. Everybody started talking about the road to 10,000 became a common thing that people said as they talked about housing. So I think it really put a focus on the need for additional housing because of the economics things that are happening in Greensboro.
Yeah, and it's important to note not just one kind of house, different people looking for different things, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's right.
Yeah.
And that was a goodly part of our discussion, and that is people came in and said, oh, we're going to do affordable housing. Well, the definition of affordable housing started out very positive, but unfortunately it's evolved into inexpensive, cheap housing, and that I don't think the group was looking for that for Greensboro. And so we spent a goodly amount of 1 or 2 meetings talking about what kind of housing do we want. And you've got the CEO of Wolfspeed, you've got middle-level managers at the airport, you've got young graduates. So we recognized that we needed to have a broad approach to bringing housing to Greensboro.
Yeah, something kind of for all those groups, yeah.
Right, and they did say, the mission statement, if you read it, will say it deals with all different housing levels, various levels of affordability.
Yeah, I think it uses suitable housing. Yeah, suitable housing,
correct,
yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. So Cheryl, I know that you have kind of 3 things that you've been really focusing on, and so I want to give you a chance to kind of share those that you really believe could make a difference and could move things along.
Well, there are 3 things. The first is the Redevelopment Commission has 20 pieces of property. And if somebody wants to buy it, it needs to be approved by the City Council, which is a lengthy process. And so my suggestion is that the city council pass a local ordinance which gives the city manager the opportunity to sign off on those pieces of land. That authority goes up to $300,000 for the city manager, and so that to me makes it quicker because you're excited, you want to go. The second is GTCC has construction programs for electricity, for plumbing, and so is there a way that the city could donate 2 of those pieces of land to GTCC so their students have a place to build some housing with the condition that they have 2 houses built in 3 years? The third thing is we've been told that the remaining pieces are not necessarily buildable. And so I would ask the city council to consider $10,000 per property to come in and make the lots builder ready. So those are 3 things that I think might be able to help move the process along a little more quickly.
If I could build on that, there's something called pre-approved plans that is in addition to that. So if you say, okay, you want to build a 4-plex, here is a pre-approved plan. You don't have to go through all of the process that you normally would if you have a new set of plans.
Yeah.
They're already approved, and the builder can go ahead and build it without having to go through 5 or 6 of the other steps, so they can get it done faster and less expensive.
Yeah, and you're already seeing some success with even just this bit of work. I mean, and keeping there's a tally, you can follow it online, but
That's right.
But over 1,000 houses built, more than 2,500 in construction or having been built at this point. So, so it's working. What do you think? What would you like people to know about the work that not only this task force, but of course it spreads throughout the city, and there are others who are very involved in making it happen. What would you like the community to know about that work and what you're doing?
I think it's important to know that, and Sue Schwartz has been very good about educating us about this, is that the average household in Greensboro is not, husband, wife, and 3 children. The average household in Greensboro is less than 2 people. So there's a lot of single households. So the desire for the traditional R3 house, that means 3 houses per acre, that is probably a less popular, less needed kind of a zoning restriction. So now there are also these terms called missing middle. So you have apartments and downtown living, and you have suburban single family housing, but the missing middle is kind of in between. The townhomes, the fourplexes, that sort of thing is an area that Greensboro wants to emphasize, the planning department wants to emphasize. And also, this was interesting to me, and I didn't know, is that she said Greensboro and Raleigh are about the same size for square miles, but Greensboro has almost 200,000 fewer people. So where that really makes a difference is in the tax revenue that the city of Greensboro gets from property tax. So for the same amount of land, Raleigh's getting a lot more property tax than Greensboro is. So that the R3 is something that has to be rethought, and I think the city is rethinking that.
How can others get involved? Where do you see a need, already on your task force, for others to plug in?
Well, I think having the city and those of us on the committee reach out to the builder community and say, hey, we would like your participation, we need your participation. What are the things that you are seeing that limit your ability to move forward quickly? And let's see if there's a way we can bring some of those messages back and see if there's a way that the city can work on some of it. I know under Sue Schwartz's area, they have made great strides in reducing the amount of time it takes to get the permits. And so let's see if there are other areas that we could do that too.
Yeah, it was like you're setting up our next segment that we're going to talk with builders right after we take a commercial break. But before we get to that, let me ask you to look out a bit. Think about 2030. What do you see happening, or what do you hope will happen?
I hope to see more infill, a lot more people living in where it's car optional, where they can walk to grocery stores, where they can walk to work. I think that is what I really see is more in Greensboro. And I think that's the way that the population of Greensboro is evolving too. Because if you think about it, if we continue to build out further and further, that makes more sprawl. that's less environmentally friendly than a more dense population inside the city limits. Because if you have to go cut down a bunch of trees and build new roads, new water and sewer and all that, and then people have to drive a lot more, that's less environmentally friendly than putting housing where the infrastructure already exists, the roads and the sewers are already there, and people don't have to drive as far. So and the bus lines are already there. So that is an area that I think would really helps on multiple levels.
Mm-hmm. I think one of the issues that I would like to see us overcome is within the existing neighborhoods where there are these pieces of land, the residents have made it very clear they're concerned that some big apartment building is going to come in right next door to the home where, mom and dad and now the kids are growing up. And that is a tough one to kind of figure out how to do. And I'm hoping over this period of time we can find a way that people will feel more comfortable with us providing some more infill. We've not, as a committee, we've not talked to the transportation people to make sure that we've got buses that will get people to work or to school. And so we've got a couple more things to do, but I think we will get there by then.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you. Thanks for giving your time to be part of this. You're volunteers. You're helping to make it happen for the city of Greensboro, and we just can use more of you. Just make doubles of you, so to make it happen. We appreciate it.
Thank you for highlighting this important issue.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Thank you.
Hey, and really keep up with this Road to 10,000 online. You can go to greensboro-nc.gov. Just search Road to 10K. And when we come back, as Cheryl set up for us, we're going to talk to builders and find out more about their thoughts about the Road to 10K. Welcome back to Gate City Insider. Today is all about housing, specifically the road to building 10,000 new homes in Greensboro by 2030. Well, these two men know exactly what it takes to make that happen. Will Yearns, president of Granville Homes, and Bobby Funk, development director for Mills Construction. Welcome to you both. Glad to have you. So how did you hear about and how did you get involved with the road to 10,000?
Yeah, so I heard about it before it was announced. Some initiatives might be coming down the pipeline. So I was really excited that Greensboro was taking on this challenge of addressing the housing needs. And when they asked me to serve on this committee, and I got that email, I was really excited to help shape the direction that we're going with my experience building houses.
Yeah.
So.
And Bobby, your company's in Raleigh, and so how did you get involved?
That's right. We first started looking at the housing needs here in Greensboro probably 6 or 7 years ago originally, and saw that there was, even at that time, a significant need for new housing, a high ratio of what we would consider cost burden households, people who are spending more of their income on housing relative to the rest of their income. And we saw that the need was significant, and so we started 5-6 years ago, started pursuing bringing some affordable development to town to supplement what's already been going on for a long time here.
Yeah, so the big question is, what does it take to really make this initiative come to fruition? 10,000 new homes. What are some of the steps we need to do to make it happen?
Well, it's a one thing at a time process, right? You can't eat the whole sandwich in one bite, as I like to say. So with a need that significant, you have to try to approach it from a variety of different angles, whether it be from the affordable space to the market rate space to the workforce space. The need is across the spectrum of incomes, housing types, locations across the community. It's significant, so you need as many partners as you can, all working towards the same goal to try to build more stock.
Yeah, I would agree with that, and it's not a question of how fast. So we need to increase the rate of which homes are being built in Greensboro, and we can do that with a lot of different ways that we're talking about, by building different types of houses across the spectrum. From from single-family houses to apartments, and then what we call the missing middle in between. So that's duplexes, triplexes, quadplexes, townhomes, ADUs, all different housing types to address the demand for all of those, the demographics.
Yeah, I want to get your reaction to some of the three things that Cheryl talked about, having to do with these parcels of land that the city has. So, any thoughts on kind of those things?
Yeah, I mean, any help the city can do to get the lots improved before a builder shows up is going to help accelerate that building process. And then also, workforce development for construction careers, partnering with GTCC and other education places that build that is only going to create more workers for to address this need.
I mean, I know that, Mills Construction obviously saw an opportunity just in Greensboro and just in the need. So let's talk about specifically around this initiative. What other opportunities do you see for builders?
Yeah, when you speak to the idea of the city getting involved with identifying parcels for development opportunities, we would always advocate for communicating early in the process about what the vision might be, even before it's ready for an RFP, potentially just getting some feedback from folks in the development community saying, what do you think this could be theoretically, so that you can have an open correspondence about things before things kind of get nailed into place about what the vision, what the request would be to the development community in earnest.
Challenges?
There's lots of challenges. This is a hard business, and that comes with a lot of risk. I would say the biggest challenge is there's not enough buildable lots. You need a buildable lot to build a house, and that process is challenging, and it's full of speed bumps along the way. Developing land is a bespoke process. It's every piece of land is different. It requires different permits. It requires, a different viewpoint every single time. So it's not a rinse and repeat process. So any place in the process that can be streamlined improves everything. So the city is actually, working on improving some of their parts of the process that they touch.
Mm-hmm. Are you finding some of the same things?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of development review of projects that are in the pipeline, relative to other communities who work in the state, we found that the city has been very great to work with overall. The speed of turning around proposals are pretty quick. Reviews are within a reasonable time frame. Processes around zonings have a pretty logical approach to consideration and timelines and submittals and all the pieces associated with it. We've had a pretty positive experience throughout the development review to permitting to construction to finishing out of construction and going through lease up on new properties.
In addition to finding buildable lots, because I hear you on that, are there other things that you think that could really make a difference to speed up the rate? I mean, you said you know how to do it. You know how to do it, even if it's a bespoke process and you got to do it differently for each space. You know that's what your business is. But are there things that could be put in place either by the city or maybe someone else who's listening or watching that could, some kind of innovation that could help speed up the processes?
I'll speak to that development work that we do through the affordable space, through the tax credit program. It is just a long process from initial ideation to breaking ground. The financing mechanisms that we use, the reviews that are required through the sources of capital that we use just require a lot of time and a lot of uncertainty until you get to yes. So it kind of is inherent with the sources of capital that we are using to make affordable housing a reality here.
Right.
And which would be the same for most other developers who do this sort of work.
I would say that the city is doing a good job on promoting the different types of housing and the infill developments, and I think we probably need to define infill development, and I would say that is a piece of property in a community that hasn't been built to its highest and best use, and it's surrounded by other properties that are already built to their highest and best use. So that could be a 2-acre lot with one single family house on it, surrounded by several houses that are on a third of an acre. You could divide that 2-acre piece into 6 lots and have 6 houses. Or you could have duplexes there or triplexes. So encouraging those sort of houses to be built within the community is one of the things that are needed.
Yeah, and I would say bringing the community along with this idea and letting them be part of it, because I think was mentioned previously, that can sometimes be a hard sell. Some of these infill housing, like, is what's going to be built right next to me, what's going to come to my neighborhood, and how can we be on the same page about working together to make it the highest and best use, not just for that piece of land, but for the community at large.
That's right. Yeah, it's definitely a community process, and working with the community is very, very important. So I would encourage the public to have communication with builders and developers during the process.
Yeah. Okay. So more than 2,700 homes completed or under construction as of right now in this process. The goal to get to 10,000 by 2030. Is it doable from your perspective?
It is with enough political capital, and it depends on what the market can do. Frankly, to some extent, it's a question of how many developers are willing to invest in Greensboro, and how well the city is looking to open their arms towards new development. And as Will said, the idea of redeveloping any space, especially in Greensboro, which is built out quite a bit within the city limits, making changes in existing spaces which might be viewed as potentially underutilized to some extent, can be challenging with existing neighborhoods in place, and the disturbances that come along with construction and change that many communities are not necessarily used to or excited about. But the concept of saying yes in my backyard is a very real thing that solves a very real problem to deal with the affordability crisis that we have, not just here in Greensboro, but across the whole state and the whole country. That cost of living and cost of housing is such an enormous issue right now, in particular, relative to so many other things going on. We think it's a priority that we believe that the city is, believes in significantly, and is worth putting the effort towards.
Mm-hmm.
I'll keep it short. I absolutely think we can get there.
Okay.
We're on the right track.
I love it. Okay, so along those lines, then, if people are curious, you were kind of talking about infill housing, and are there places that that people should look to see where it's working and it's making a difference?
I would say, there's several places around town that it works. I have one project that's across the street from Friendly Center that is, we bought one house and then we're putting 23 townhomes on it. So that's a good infill project. So, yeah.
And when you work with people, that's a very desirable place to live, near Friendly Center. It's a very popular place. It's walkable. You could walk to work. You can walk to shopping. You can walk to entertainment. And you put people in those homes. I know that's not, you're building them, so you're not always seeing that, but you hear the stories. Can you give us some example of what that's like to know that you have made those connection points for people and changed some lives in that way?
Well, I would say that is, when somebody chooses to live in a location like that, they're investing in their lifestyle, and they know they're going to be able to walk to things. They're not going to have to drive their car as much. They're going to be able to walk to restaurants and the movie theater. So it's a different lifestyle than that's centered around a car. And to
know that you've changed the community, what does that? What does it mean to you as a developer, as a builder?
Well, I'd say, with the two projects that we're working on in Greensboro right now, Yanceyville Place and Yanceyville Place 2, we partnered with Holy Spirit Episcopal Church, which is one of our neighbors, which we met during some initial community outreach before we started on the first phase of the project, and we found that our missions were very aligned with the need for housing and the desire to build more housing, and built a great partnership with the folks at that church that they got on board. And so the idea of meeting the needs of housing, especially for lower income households, which proportionally spend far more on their housing than folks at the higher income range, the need was enormous. And when I'll tell you that when we opened the first phase for leasing, which was 84 units, we had 1,000 applicants.
Wow.
Within, I think, the first few days of applications.
Yeah.
That speaks to just how enormous the need is that we're talking about here. And the need has not gone down. The property's leased up, and we believe that the need is still there and still strong for more housing of all sorts of income types.
Yeah, it's what we must do, really, to keep growing and to be the Greensboro that we want to be. That's for sure. Well, thank you. Thanks for your insight. Thank you for all you're doing to help us grow and to provide housing along the way. We appreciate you. And again, you can keep up with the Road to 10,000 online, greensboro-nc.gov. Just search Road to 10K. And when we come back, the home buyer's perspective. Stay with us. $10,000 new homes by 2030. That is the goal of the Road to 10,000. And today we're exploring that initiative in detail and the people who will be most impacted. Vaughn Patrick is a new homeowner. Hillary Meredith is realtor in Greensboro. Welcome to you both. So glad to have you here. Vaughn, I wanted you to start with you. You work for the city of Greensboro. You work in the planning department. So you've heard about this initiative, I know. But you didn't really expect to be a new homeowner.
No.
So tell us, kind of give us your story.
Well, I was renting and I lived in this house for 12 to 13 years. And just like my landlord had called me and said, I want to come out and talk to you. And she came out and she devastated me at the last minute. It was in March and she told me, she said, I'm not going to rent you the house anymore. She said, I want you out by May 1st. And I was devastated. And I said, well, you know, it's hard to find rental property. She said, I know that, but family come first and my niece need a place to stay. So from that time on, when she left, I started packing then. I started packing. And then I started looking for places, and it was so hard because every time you try to get a rental property, they run your credit. So they pull your credit score down. So I have a friend, Sheila Seiler, who's a realtor in Greensboro. She said, we're going to buy a house. I said, I'm too old to buy a house. I can't buy a house. And she said, baby girl, you're not too old. We're going to get your house. So my journey started. She met with me, told me to write down everything, everybody I owed. She blessed me out because I owed everybody in Greensboro. But she told me how to get my credit and get my credit score up, and then we started looking for houses. In a million years, I never did thought I'd own a house.
But today,
I am a homeowner.
you're a homeowner. A first-time
A
homeowner.
first-time homeowner.
Congratulations.
And I love it.
And you love it. Congratulations. Is this story surprising at all to you, Hillary?
No. I think it's very common to have people that are forced out of their current home and having to, whether they rent or for some other reason, and having to kind of pivot very quickly to find a manageable living situation. And you know, with rents and prices of everything kind of going up, if you've been somewhere for 12 years, I'm sure you had a very nice, reasonable rental rate, and to get something similar probably would have doubled what you were paying. So, and I think there's also a lot to be said about, like, it doesn't matter what age you are. There are a lot of people that can be first-time home buyers in their 20s, in their 50s, in their 60s. Like, there's no age limit on when you can be a first-time home buyer.
Yeah, and we're talking about home buying, but I mean, really, this initiative is about more homes,
Yeah.
and so whether they're to
Apartments
buy or
too,
to rent
yeah.
or to whatever it might be, and you got, in some ways, got very lucky because this process happened pretty quickly for you.
Yes, it did, because I had to be out by June 1st.
Yeah, and some people look years trying to find the right home. And as a community, we can't let that happen. We have to have more homes to make that happen. So what are some of the challenges that you see homeowners, home buyers looking for, or anyone looking to
Yeah,
live?
I think to the point of like the road to 10,000, I think inventory is a huge part of it, right? And we're talking about affordable/attainable housing. We're talking apartments. We're talking condos, townhomes, homes over $1 million. Like in Greensboro and Guilford County, we need a lot of it. There's so much economic development. There's so many people coming here and growth here. And I think also just homes that are livable. So a lot of times the people, I feel like kind of if you're under $250 in your price point, it's very hard to find kind of a really nice ready home. Like you got to be ready to probably do a little work. It's going to need some upgrades. It's going to need some things. So there are a lot of programs out there that help, at least in that price point. But I do think it's just kind of the inventory and making sure that the homes are in good shape, and that there aren't any big major issues in a home, and that can happen at any price point. And that's where I think having an agent on your side that helps you through the process, bringing their knowledge to the table, as well as helping with the emotional process of it, because it's the biggest purchase most people ever make, right? So to kind of guide you through that process, and that's also why, like the down payment assistance program with Greensboro, you have to have an agent if you're buying a home and utilizing that program, because they understand that you need that help and guidance to make sure you're making a good choice and a good decision.
Yeah, I mean, would you have even known where to look for a
No,
house without
no,
a little help?
And I wouldn't have known.
And what you could
and
afford?
What I could afford. I didn't even know the process.
Yeah.
But Sheila Seiler, she would always say, "Baby girl, we gonna get through this." And we did, and she did, and I had to go through the North Carolina Housing Finance Agency out of Raleigh, which was a good program that I went through. And I tell any and everybody, go for it.
Yeah.
Go for it.
And the full team that, lender, I mean, there's so many people that
my
are involved
lender
in the
was nice,
process.
and everybody was so nice, because I had called the lender and said, "I'm not doing this. I don't want to. I'll find me someplace to stay. I'm not buying no house."
Yeah, it's scary, right?
It was scary.
Yeah.
It was scary.
I mean, it's scary to not know where you're going to live, and then to be thinking about taking on debt and and taking on the work of a house that you own, a home that you own. So.
Then one house that I picked, and it wasn't, the guy didn't do me right, so I lost $1,700 on one house because I backed out of the process. But my friends all around said, "Don't worry about it. If you need the $1,700, I'll give it to you." So, but we kept on going.
Yeah. And not everybody has friends on their side that
Yeah.
can help them. And so again, that's why this team is so important. Hillary, are most of the people, I mean, like what percentage do you think are coming in, new people from out of town who are looking for homes, and what are just people kind of moving and shifting homes in Greensboro?
I mean, I would say probably maybe like, I don't really know the stats, but if I had to think about like the clients and that I have and my team has, I would say maybe 30 to 40% are people moving here from other places. And then the rest are either people that have lived here, they're moving up, they're downsizing, they're doing that kind of thing and moving around.
So with an initiative like this, I mean, we were going to be building new homes in Greensboro no matter what, but to have the city pushing for this, how do you see that really impacting kind of the inventory issue?
I think with the city behind it and wanting that to happen, I think it's going to filter into planning and zoning, permitting, easing that process a little bit. Like it needs to happen. Like I'm not saying no zoning, no permitting. That's crazy, because then you have homes that are built that aren't up to the standard they need to be. But I think you've got builders that are going to want to come here because they know that there's a growth mindset as far as building, and to really support those, all the pieces of the puzzle that will grow the inventory here. And I think having the city behind that will really help with all the other private businesses that need to be on board to make that happen.
All right, how about like 1 minute of advice for prospective home buyers out there?
Educate yourself, whether that is meeting with an agent, meeting with a lender. Like I always say, like those are the first things you need to do. Talk with a lender and talk with an agent. Whether you're going to buy a house in a month or in 2 years, understand the process, because what happens is a lot of times people are like, oh, I want to buy a house, but they don't do the research, and then they find a house they love. They don't have a pre-approval. They don't know the process, and they lose the house because maybe it's really popular and it's in a multiple offer situation, or it takes a while to get through all of that. So I would just say education and preparation, so that when you do find the house that you want, you're ready to go.
Yeah, and get a team around you.
Yeah, get that team around you of trusted agent, lender, inspector, attorney. Like there's a lot of people that are part of that process, and I think really talking to the professionals that do that work, not just your friends and family. Like they have good advice, but also like you need to talk to people that are in it on a day-to-day basis. Yeah.
And it sounds like you and your realtor became friends
Yeah.
through this.
Well, we've been friends for years.
Oh, okay.
So, and she
Baby
pushed
girl.
me, baby girl. That was her thing. She said, baby girl, you can get mad at me all you want to. You gonna buy this house.
I love that. I love that. Do you have something you want to share with others who are, kind of just starting in this process and thinking, well, I wonder if I could do it. Wonder if I could buy a
Yes,
home?
go ahead, go for it. Just, I wasn't educated, didn't know anything. But my baby girl realtor taught me a whole lot, and I can tell a few people a few things. You can call me if you want information. I can give it to you, but go for it. And you're never too old to buy a house, because that's what I told her. I said, I'm too old to buy a house. She said, baby girl, you're never too old.
Yeah.
And I would also say, like, there's a lot of people that know agents or know lenders, right? But if you don't, like, there's nothing wrong with interviewing people. I get interviewed all the time, like, hey, I'm talking to a couple different agents. Like, find the person that fits you, right, and fits your personality, because it's a very, it's an emotional and intimate relationship. So you need to make sure it's somebody that you vibe well with. You don't have to work with the first person you meet.
Good advice. And you're going to be spending some time together.
Yes.
Oh,
yeah, for sure. Yeah. Hopefully you get it done in short order, but you never know. You never know. Well, thank you both for sharing.
Thank you.
Vaughn, you're an inspiration.
Thank
so
you.
congratulations.
Thank you.
And Hillary, really appreciate your insight as well. Thank you.
you.
You can keep up with the road to 10,000 at greensboro-nc.gov. Just search Road to 10K. That is our time. Thank you for spending some of yours with us. From all of us here at GTN, have a great day.